In a quiet village nestled between rolling hills and vast golden plains, a mother sat by the doorway of her small clay house, staring at the horizon where the sun kissed the earth goodnight. For years, she had waited in silence, her heart heavy with the absence of her child, taken from her when he was just a baby. Every whisper of the wind carried memories of what once was and the faint hope of what might return. Little did she know, the day her child would come back was closer than she imagined in. It would change everything. Amina, a young mother with eyes full of unspoken sorrow, had lived through the cruelest twist of fate a parent could endure. Her son Kofi had been taken from her village during a raid when he was only 2 years old. From that moment, she vowed never to stop searching, never to stop hoping, and never to allow despair to take root in her heart. The villagers whispered of his fate, some saying he had perished, others claiming he had been sold far away. But Amina clung to a simple truth. Love could withstand even the deepest pain, and perhaps one day her child would return. The memory of that night remained etched in Amina's mind. She recalled the crack of firewood and the shadowy figures that descended upon her home. The attackers had taken everything: her food, her belongings, and most painfully, her son. She had screamed until her voice was hoarse, reaching for Kofi's small hand that was already slipping from her grasp. In the aftermath, the village was left in silence, with smoke curling into the night sky and villagers huddling together in fear. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, yet Amina never gave up. She walked through the market every day, calling his name softly, hoping someone, anyone, would recognize him. Her sorrow was palpable, a quiet shadow that never left her side. Neighbors would often see her sitting by the river, tossing a pebble into the water, whispering, "Come back to me, my child." Life forced Amina to adapt. She worked tirelessly in the fields, tending to her small plot of land, selling produce at the market, and helping other mothers care for their children. Yet despite the laughter that sometimes filled her home, her heart remained heavy. Each newborn she saw reminded her of Kofi's small fingers and soft giggles. And though she offered guidance to the young mothers, she could not shake the empty cradle at home. The years passed slowly, but hope never left her. Villagers began to admire her resilience, calling her the mother of unbroken hope. Despite whispers that perhaps she should move on, Amina believed in the invisible thread connecting her to Kofi. She clung to the belief that no matter how far he had been taken, fate would one day return him to her. It was a morning like any other when a stranger appeared at the edge of the village. Tall and lean, with eyes that mirrored a life of hardship, he carried himself with cautious dignity. He had traveled from distant lands across rivers, deserts, and mountains, following the faintest clues about his origin. The villagers watched silently as he approached Amina's home. Amina felt a shiver run through her body. There was something familiar in the way he walked, the curve of his smile, the tilt of his head. Could it be? Her heart raced as the stranger's eyes met hers. "Are you Amina?" he asked, his voice tentative yet firm. The name on his lips, the sound of it after so many years, sent her knees trembling. Kofi stepped closer, his eyes scanning her face as if searching for proof that this was truly home. Memories stirred, fragments of a childhood he barely remembered, but somehow felt in his bones. "Mother?" he whispered, disbelief lacing every syllable. Amina could only nod, tears streaming freely now, washing away years of silent suffering. The villagers gathered around, their own hearts swelling with emotion. Witnessing the reunion, many could not hold back their tears. The embrace between mother and son was more than physical. It was a merging of two souls that had been torn apart by fate but never broken. Stories would be told of this day for generations, the day hope conquered despair and love proved stronger than absence. In the weeks that followed, Amina and Kofi rebuilt the life they had lost. She learned about the places he had been, the challenges he had faced, and the courage that had sustained him. Kofi, in turn, learned of his mother's unwavering love, the village that had nurtured her, and the community that had never allowed her spirit to falter. Through shared stories and long walks beneath the acacia trees, they healed together. Amina discovered that waiting in silence was not a sign of weakness, but a testament to the depth of her love. And Kofi realized that no matter how far life took him, home was a place defined by the heart, not distance. Amina's story became a lesson for the entire village. that patience, faith, and resilience could weather even the cruelest storms. Mothers who had lost hope began to believe once more. Children learned the power of family bonds, and the village, scarred by the past, found new unity and strength. Kofi, inspired by his mother's unwavering spirit, vowed to carry her story forward, to remind others that even in the darkest nights, hope can guide you home. Their lives, forever intertwined, became a symbol of endurance, love, and the miraculous power of reunion. Conclusion: years of silence, years of waiting, and years of unwavering love had finally brought Amina and Kofi together. The pain of separation faded into a memory, replaced by laughter, shared stories, and a bond that had endured the test of time. In the end, it was not luck or chance that reunited them, but the enduring strength of a mother's love, a force capable of transcending distance, danger, and despair. Kofi began to recount the years he spent away from the village. He had been taken far beyond the borders of familiar lands, through cities teeming with strangers and forests dense with shadow. Each step of his journey was marked by survival, cunning, and resilience. Though the world had been harsh, he had carried the memory of his mother with him, an invisible thread that guided him through danger, loneliness, and despair. He spoke of nights spent under the stars, whispering her name to the heavens, and days when hunger gnawed at his resolve. Yet, in every challenge, he remembered her patience, her unwavering hope, and the promise of reunion. Those memories became his compass, leading him back to the village where love had never abandoned him. Amina, meanwhile, found herself haunted by memories she had long tried to bury. She recalled Kofi's first steps, his laughter echoing through their small home, and the day he fell ill with a fever that nearly took him. Each memory brought tears, but also a strange comfort, a reminder that the bond between mother and child could never be severed. Even as Kofi shared his tales, Amina noticed small gestures, how he tilted his head like he did as a toddler, the way his hands fidgeted when nervous, and the soft, almost imperceptible smile that had always belonged to him. These little details reaffirmed her belief that, despite the years apart, they were still profoundly connected. The villagers were equally moved by their reunion. Many had witnessed Amina's silent struggle over the years. Her resilience had become a quiet legend, inspiring others to persevere through their own hardships. When Kofi's story unfolded, they were struck by the harsh realities of the outside world and the courage it took to survive alone. The elders often gathered with Amina and Kofi, sharing wisdom about patience, faith, and the importance of community. Through these discussions, the mother and son realized that their story was no longer just theirs. It had become a beacon of hope for everyone in the village. Reunion brought joy, but it also brought challenges. Kofi had grown into a man shaped by hardship, while Amina had lived in the quiet rhythm of the village. Bridging the gap between their experiences required patience. They spent long hours talking, walking through familiar fields, and revisiting places from his early childhood. Each moment of connection healed wounds they didn't know still existed. Through laughter and tears, they rebuilt their bond. Kofi learned to appreciate the small joys of village life, while Amina marveled at his resilience and courage. Together, they discovered that family is not just defined by blood, but by shared experience, understanding, and unwavering love. Amina shared the lessons she had learned during the long years of waiting. She spoke of patience in the face of despair, hope when everything seemed lost, and faith that guided her through darkness. Kofi listened intently, realizing that his mother's strength had been a quiet force sustaining him even from afar. Her words resonated deeply, shaping his perspective on life. He began to see that while survival is crucial, living with purpose and compassion is what truly defines a person. This wisdom became a cornerstone of their renewed relationship, guiding them as they navigated the complexities of their reunion. Even as joy returned, shadows of the past lingered. Kofi recounted the cruel hands that had separated them, the strangers who had taken advantage of his vulnerability, and the moments of despair that nearly broke him. Amina listened with a heavy heart, feeling the pain he endured, but also immense pride in his resilience. Together, they faced these shadows. The village offered support, healing rituals, and the collective strength of a community that had endured its own scars. Slowly, the past transformed from a source of fear into a lesson of endurance, reminding them both of the value of family, love, and unwavering hope. Life began to take shape once more. Amina and Kofi rebuilt their home, planting crops, tending animals, and restoring the rhythm of everyday life. Each task was a reminder of their connection and the power of perseverance. Kofi shared stories of distant lands, teaching the villagers new skills, while Amina infused their days with the warmth and love only a mother could provide. The simple routines became profound symbols of healing and renewal. Every meal shared, every sunset watched together, reinforced the truth they had always known. Love, patience, and resilience can overcome even the harshest trials. As Kofi settled back into village life, he grappled with the anger and resentment he had carried for years. The people who had caused him harm were long gone, yet their shadows lingered. Amina encouraged him to forgive, not for their sake, but for his own peace. Through meditation, prayer, and reflection, Kofi began to release the weight of his past. Forgiveness became a transformative experience, allowing him to fully embrace the present and the life he had reclaimed with his mother. Their story inspired the village in ways they could never have imagined. Mothers who had lost children found renewed hope. Children who feared separation learned the value of family bonds. The elders shared Amina and Kofi's story as a moral tale, teaching that love and perseverance can bridge even the greatest divides. The village thrived not only economically but spiritually. As the lessons of patience, resilience, and unwavering love became woven into the fabric of daily life, life was not without challenges. Harsh drought threatened the crops, and tensions occasionally rose among the villagers. Yet Amina and Kofi faced these hardships together. Kofi's experience of the outside world provided innovative solutions, while Amina's wisdom and emotional intelligence kept the community united. Through collaboration, they overcame adversity, proving that love and cooperation are more powerful than any storm or famine. Kofi began to share his experiences with the youth of the village, turning his story into lessons about courage, hope, and morality. Children gathered around him under the baobab tree, listening with wide eyes as he recounted his journey, the trials he endured, and the love that brought him home. Through storytelling, he preserved culture, inspired hope, and reminded the next generation that no obstacle is insurmountable when guided by love and perseverance. As Kofi reintegrated into village life, he reconnected with childhood friends, some of whom had grown into formidable adults, shaping the village in their own ways. Rebuilding these bonds was both joyful and challenging, as they navigated the shared pain of the past and the promise of the future. These friendships reinforced the sense of community, highlighting that healing is not only personal, but also collective, dependent on relationships built on trust, empathy, and shared experiences. The village organized a celebration in honor of Kofi's return. Music, dance, and storytelling filled the air, and Amina watched with tears in her eyes as her son moved among the villagers with ease and joy. This event became a symbol of resilience, faith, and the power of family bonds that no force could sever. For days, the village rejoiced, recognizing that this reunion was not just a personal victory, but a collective triumph of hope over despair. Though the village had healed, danger was never far away. Traders warned of raiders and conflicts brewing in neighboring territories. Kofi's experience navigating distant lands became invaluable, helping the village prepare defenses and strategies. Through vigilance, collaboration, and courage, they safeguarded their home, proving that the lessons learned through hardship were as important as those learned through love and patience. Kofi and Amina began mentoring the younger generation, teaching farming techniques, survival skills, and moral lessons. Their combined wisdom ensured that the village would thrive for generations, equipped to face both physical and emotional challenges. The seeds they planted literally and metaphorically grew into a thriving, resilient community, a living testament to the enduring power of hope and love. Though reunited, emotional scars remained. They sought healing through conversation, rituals, and storytelling. Kofi slowly learned to release guilt and self-doubt, while Amina let go of years of anxiety and worry. Together, they transformed pain into wisdom, ensuring that the past became a foundation for strength rather than a burden. Years passed and Kofi grew into a leader, guided by the principles of his mother. The story of his return became part of village lore, a living legacy illustrating that love, faith, and perseverance could conquer even the harshest trials. Visitors from distant lands came to hear the tale, inspired by the strength of a mother's heart and a son's courage. The village became a symbol of resilience, admired far beyond its borders. One evening, mother and son sat beneath the old baobab tree, the same tree where Kofi had once played as a child. They reflected on the journey that had brought them together, the pain endured and the joy reclaimed. The wind whispered through the leaves as if carrying blessings from ancestors who had watched over them all these years. Amina smiled at Kofi, her heart finally at peace. "We have endured," she said softly, "and now we live together." Kofi nodded, understanding that their bond was unbreakable, forged through love, hope, and unwavering patience. With their reunion complete, life flowed with purpose and fulfillment. Amina and Kofi embraced each day with gratitude, teaching the village that true strength comes from love, resilience, and faith in the unseen. Their story became a Bikona reminder that even in silence and separation, hope endures, and the ties of family can never truly be severed. The village, now inspired by Kofi and Amina's journey, began to embrace unity in ways it never had before. Community projects flourished, fields were tended collectively, harvests shared, and families looked after one another. Kofi and Amina led by example, showing that strength comes not only from individual courage, but from supporting one another. Their story became a living guide, teaching that survival is a shared endeavor, strengthened by compassion and cooperation. Amina and Kofi revived old village traditions that had faded during years of hardship. Festivals, dances, and storytelling nights returned, celebrating life and heritage. Kofi, with tales from distant lands, added new elements to these rituals, blending cultures and experiences to create a richer, more vibrant community life. The villagers embraced this change, seeing that their identity was not static, but enriched by resilience, adaptation, and shared memory. Even as joy returned, bitterness lingered in some hearts. Kofi reminded the villagers and himself that forgiveness was essential for true healing. He reached out to those who had wronged him indirectly through family or circumstance, offering understanding rather than vengeance. This act of courage inspired others to release grudges, fostering peace and emotional restoration throughout the village. Kofi and Amina focused on the youth, teaching them both practical skills and moral lessons. They emphasized patience, perseverance, and the importance of hope, even in the darkest times. The children listened with rapt attention, absorbing every story and anecdote. By preparing the next generation, the mother and son ensured the village's resilience would continue long after their own time. Kofi shared insights from the lands he had traveled, including techniques for agriculture, trade, and survival. The villagers marveled at the new knowledge, integrating it with their traditions. The combination of wisdom from afar and ancestral knowledge strengthened the village, making it a model of innovation and cultural continuity. Amina felt pride in seeing her son grow into a leader capable of merging past and present. Despite the village's prosperity, Kofi faced internal struggles, memories of abandonment, fear of loss, and lingering questions about identity. Amina guided him with gentle wisdom, reminding him that acknowledging pain was not weakness, but a step toward wholeness. Through shared reflection, meditation, and rituals of remembrance, they worked together to turn trauma into strength. Their bond deepened as they confronted life's challenges together. Kofi learned to lean on Amina's wisdom, while Amina discovered strength in Kofi's courage. Their relationship became a powerful symbol of enduring love, showing that the bond between parent and child could overcome time, distance, and adversity. Villagers watched in awe, inspired by the rare and profound connection they shared. One day, a traveler arrived at the village seeking guidance and stories of resilience. Intrigued by the legend of Amina and Kofi, he asked to learn from them. Sharing their experiences, the mother and son became mentors beyond their own community. This visitor returned to distant lands, spreading their story and inspiring hope far and wide, reinforcing the universal power of love, patience, and faith. Kofi and Amina initiated programs to ensure the village's safety, from establishing watch groups to building stronger homes. They taught children to respect the land, care for the environment, and look out for one another. These efforts transformed the village into a community not only surviving, but thriving, resilient in spirit and united in purpose. Years of hardship had been replaced with laughter, music, and celebrations. Kofi and Amina relished the simple joyous dancing during festivals, sharing meals and storytelling under the stars. The happiness in their village became contagious, touching every corner and reminding everyone that life could still be beautiful, even after immense suffering. With Kofi now a respected figure in the village, he faced difficult decisions about disputes, trade, and village safety. Amina advised him with a mix of wisdom and empathy, emphasizing fairness and understanding. Through careful guidance, Kofi learned that true leadership is not about power, but about responsibility, compassion, and vision. Amina and Kofi worked together to pass down ancestral knowledge. They taught the younger generation about medicinal herbs, survival skills, and moral values. By intertwining stories of past hardships with lessons of courage, they created a bridge between generations, ensuring that the community's legacy of resilience and love would endure. Word of Kofi and Amina's reunion reached nearby villages, inspiring others who had faced loss or hardship. Families who thought hope was lost found renewed strength. The mother and son became a living testament that love, patience, and unwavering faith could overcome even the harshest separation. Their story rippled across the region, touching lives they would never personally meet. On quiet evenings, Amina and Kofi would sit by the river, reflecting on the journey that had brought them together. They discussed the hardships endured, the lessons learned, and the power of love that had guided them home. These reflections reinforced their bond and reminded the villagers that life's trials, though painful, often prepare us for moments of profound reunion and joy. As the sun set over the horizon, Amina and Kofi looked toward the future with optimism. Their village, once scarred by loss and fear, had blossomed into a thriving, harmonious community. Their love, perseverance, and unwavering faith ensured that even future generations would grow, knowing that hope is never lost, and the bonds of family can withstand the test of time. Kofi and Amina emphasized the importance of their cultural heritage. Together, they revived traditional songs, dances, and storytelling rituals that had almost been forgotten. The village elders, children, and visitors joined in, celebrating not only their survival, but the richness of their shared history. The celebration strengthened community bonds and reminded everyone that heritage is a living, breathing part of identity. Recognizing that hardships would always come, Kofi began teaching young villagers the principles of resilience. Through role-playing, survival exercises, and sharing stories of his journey, he helped the next generation understand that courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to persevere despite it. Amina supported him by showing that patience and emotional intelligence are equally vital in navigating life's challenges. Kofi sought out childhood friends who had left the village or grown distant during the years of chaos. Reconnecting with them helped heal old wounds and reinforce the value of friendship. Together, they shared memories, exchanged lessons learned from their separate paths, and created a stronger network of trust and collaboration for the village's future. One season brought unusually heavy rains and flooding. The village's survival skills were put to the test. Kofi and Amina led emergency efforts, guiding villagers to safety, reinforcing homes, and ensuring livestock was protected. The crisis demonstrated their leadership and unity, showing that adversity, when faced together, could strengthen rather than break a community. Amina invited the village elders to share their wisdom more openly with the younger generation. They told stories of resilience, justice, and moral lessons from past generations. Kofi integrated these teachings with his own experiences, creating a holistic understanding for the youth, one that blended tradition, lived experience, and the importance of hope and perseverance. Through years of effort, the village not only recovered but thrived. Crops flourished, children grew healthy and curious, and the bonds of community were unbreakable. Visitors from other regions began to seek guidance from Amina and Kofi, curious about how a community could rise so strongly from loss and despair. Their village became a model of resilience, hope, and cultural richness. Kofi and Amina focused on sustainable growth for the village. They taught the importance of caring for the land, passing down agricultural techniques, and ensuring water sources were protected. By preparing the village for long-term stability, they ensured that future generations would be equipped to handle any challenge, continuing the legacy of perseverance and love. Their story extended beyond mother and son. The love they shared became a guiding light for the entire village. Families that had fractured found reconciliation, Young couples learned the value of patience and understanding, and the community as a whole grew closer. The strength of one family had inspired the growth and unity of an entire village. As time passed, Amina and Kofi's story became a legend told around fires, under the baobab trees, and at celebrations. Their tale of separation, patience, and reunion inspired countless others. The village became known as a place where hope endures. And the story of a mother who waited in silence for years, and the child who returned, became a symbol of resilience across generations. In the quiet evenings, mother and son often sat together, watching the horizon. They reflected on their journey, years of waiting, fear and uncertainty, transformed into love, joy, and wisdom. Kofi began to teach his own children the lessons he had learned, while Amina nurtured the village with the same patience and strength that had guided her through decades of longing. Their lives had come full circle, proving that the power of love, faith, and perseverance can transcend time, distance, and adversity.